Rightio. We're back again. I know I had another day's hiatus, just because I've come to the realisation that I can make the rules for this, because it's my thing. Maybe I won't finish them before the end of the year. Maybe this will continue into January. All I know is that I have 4 more images to draw, 4 more days. This is now a 4-sided dice. You may notice this is not your regular kind of 4-sided dice. This is a strange kind of alien looking 4-sided dice. It does have a name. I think it's called an alien tetrahedron, this one. Great application. So I've had to reduce the names down to initials for this, but I still remember what they all are. Unlike last time when I forgot briefly. I did think that maybe I should start with the one that I started before, given that it's fresh in my mind, and also I kind of almost started it already. But no, I figured I'd stick with the randomness thing and see what came out. And it came up on Tetra anyway, so I guess that's what fate wants me to. That's what fate wants me to do. We quit. There we go, and we're already right here in the art. Let's zoom out a little. So, yeah. Basically, the idea for this was to do a kind of magical girl transformation version of this character. For no reason other than I thought it'd be funny. I still don't know what a femboy is, but let's have a go. So the pose I was going to go for was a sort of a generic magical transformation pose, which was sort of slightly arched back, legs. Let's try and fill the space with this. So if we have shoulders kind of here, we know the legs are going to come down to here. So that's kind of the midway point. So sort of hips kind of here-ish, arched back, head kind of back slightly, arms kind of in this. One thing that I have noticed is that I very rarely think too much about the poses of these characters, and I really ought to. So, sue me, I guess. I should bring up the reference image, shouldn't I, from last time? Just grab that from here. I think I stuck it in the one for the 24th. Nope, didn't stick it in there. Where did I put it? Where did I put that reference image that I downloaded? Because it had the glasses in. I think it was still just in my downloads folder, actually. There it is. So that didn't work. Bringing it over from my other monitor. Here we go. So the request was this, but a femboy. And that's, yes, okay, that's why I had the arm up before. That's, yes, the pose is slightly wrong on this. Let's take that arm out. Because this arm is going to be holding a cigarette. I haven't really thought about where the knee's going to be on that. I haven't admitted I was going to do a whole body reference thing in October, and I never got round to it. So that's why none of these things have any level of decent anatomy to them, because I just never got round to it. So the head's going to be up, kind of this sort of space. I kind of like the idea of like this hand being total, like magical girl transformation, fingers out, thumb out, the whole thing. You know, that's your kind of splayed fingers on this side, but this one is going to maintain composure and still be holding the cigarette. Although, should the cigarette be in the mouth? Maybe what should happen is the mouth should be open and the cigarette should be kind of flying out. Yeah, let's go with that. So this arm's not going to be up. This arm is not going to be up. Let's just flip the size of that brush for erasing this. So that arm is again going to be where I put it last time. So this is going to be straight from neck to chest line. Oops, let's get the size of that down. From neck to chest line to there. So centre of the chest is going to be there. Get some rib cage in. Washboard abs. What am I doing? So there was no outfit given for this, but like, I imagine if you're going to do a sort of femi-looking boy, you'd want to have some kind of outfit, just, you know, because if you're going to cover the eyes, you can't do the sort of the stereotypical like makeup eyes. You can't do the girly eyes. Thinking about how you're going to show the inside of the mouth here. It's like, yeah, if this is going to be kind of to here. Let's get the curl of this right. We want the muzzle to be kind of that sort of space. Head back. I mean, they said they just like to see people trying to draw this character, so I guess it doesn't matter too much if like it's not what they imagined, which is why I feel like I can kind of play with this a little bit. You know, just so this arm is going to be coming kind of back here and also forward, so we want just kind of the arm sticking out here, maybe a hand there. So this is going to be the inside of the hand though. So we want kind of that appearance. Tail's curling down, let's maintain that. So we have that kind of shape on the tail. Back there. And this character does have like a big ruff around the neck, so we're gonna get our wolf ears in. Like that's sort of the shape that we're going for there, right, with that. I feel like just a little hint of ab hair there to kind of give this impression, not ab, what do you call those bits? Pecs, pectorals, there you go. Just to give a kind of definition to the character. So we have straight front of the leg. We're going to have the toes kind of pointed, as you do. feet are on the wrong sides. Because when you think about it, this one's going to be more from the side. That one's going to be more from the front. So that one needs to be more pointed than that one. So I do know things. I'm not a complete moron. I do kind of know things about anatomy and stuff. I know that doesn't... It probably doesn't fill you with immense confidence in my ability to deal with anatomy and things, but... So, the problem is now, if I don't do the eyes, like... Where do the eyes go on to face this angle? Maybe this should just be... Well, it does have these glasses on, actually, thinking about it, so... Like the flame glasses. Should that kind of come up here and... Actually, if I've drawn this entire head the wrong shape from where I've put that muzzle, I'm really proud of how I've done that muzzle, so I might just reshape the rest of the head to fit the muzzle that I've drawn for them. When you're working on a very loose spec, you can do this kind of nonsense. So if the muzzle's pointing that way, then we know that the actual shape of the head... So like that, the other half of the muzzle has to be there, right? So that the head's got to be kind of this alignment rather than all the way back. So the center line is like here, which puts one eye here and one eye here. Except that would be lower because it's sort of behind the muzzle. So we're only going to see a little bit of that eye. Which probably works in our favour, all things considered. Because if we're going to have these super expressive glasses, it means that we can literally just have that part there, and then deal with the flames. They are flames, right? Yeah, so that the like that. We'll deal with that in close-up when we get there. And then the ears for the wolf, they got sort of flat top, curved underside. Kind of like that. We can work on that. That's kind of the general shape of this. No hair, but I feel like to sort of do it justice, I should give it a kind of hint of what might be hair, but it could just be like wolf fur. And the cigarette will be kind of there-ish, as if it's sort of fallen out. Or should it be like higher, as if it's like, think of it, if it was there, it's going to come out this way. It's going to be... We'll worry about the position of the cigarette later. For now, we have the rough shape of this, and I'm tempted to go with that rough shape. Does it need an outfit? So sticking with the concept of femboy, I feel like I should dress this up. And go for something kind of... I don't know, I guess... Do I want to go for like a Sailor Fuku kind of... No, that's too silly. That's too silly. I am thinking like, how would it look in a kind of slightly strappy dress, kind of... the kind of thing that sort of billows like that, you know, the I don't know how else to represent femme. Like it's not a thing that I've spent a lot of my time thinking about, is the how to represent someone as male but still femme. What is a femme male? I mean, clearly it's a thing. People ask for it. Because it's not the same thing as like a trans man, because that would be. I suppose a trans man could be a femboy. I know, it's kind of complicated, isn't it? I'm really uncertain how you would represent that. Pay it no heed. I'm going to go with the dress because it's up to me. And I'm going to do femboy wolf wearing a red dress. I feel like that should be more on the side, actually. That hand should be... Like the fingers should be splayed, but they should be... Like if the hand is like that, like sort of that way up, it looks like, because the character's at 45 degrees, they've turned their hand. So maybe it should be... I don't know. Let's worry about that when we get there. And I'm imagining that this would have, like, this is a wolf, right? So we're going to have wolf teeth there. That ear should be lower for the 3D-ness. And I feel like this needs a kind of fluffiness to the ear. Like, one of the things that I learned from doing that wolf ear the other day is that you need to fluff up the ear as well as the other parts. You know, sometimes I worry that if I get like better at art as I do this, obviously I want to get better, but like if I get better between images when I'm doing a single challenge like this, that what's going to happen is that some people are going to say, wait a minute, the person that went the day after me got a much better picture. That's not fair. I want a better picture. And then I'm stuck in this sort of, well, you know, I already did you. You got yours first, and they got the one where I'd improved slightly. Because let's face it, I am going to improve as this goes on. I hope. God, I hope. Right. I have a book on how to do realistic drapery cloth kind of effects, but I can't remember any of it, so it's all about figuring out which bits are on top and which bits are underneath, I think. That's fine. That's fine. We can work with this. We can work with this. It's that time again. I'm going to do something a little bit bold on this. I'm going to go for a thicker line. Well, if I go for a thicker line, that mouth is going to completely lose any definition. I'm not going to go for a thicker line. But I'm going to start with the muzzle. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Because although like I should be able to draw fine details on, like I wouldn't be working on a piece of paper this big if I was drawing this. I feel like I lose a little bit of accuracy because I'm on a tablet. So that's my excuse. What's yours? This should come down first, and that should kind of flow into it almost. Let's get that right. That shoulder strap is going to be there. Going to have a bit of arm there. And this one is kind of that shape. So this ear. Not draw that line in yet because we need to get these glasses right first. So if we're going to say the bridge of the glasses is there, this underside here, let's do that in a lighter line, this underside here is kind of a rounded triangle. This kind of goes over here, and then we have this sort of looping. I'm not going to try and perfectly represent that, but let's try and get it close to correct. Like that. Oh, see, I really hate that tangent just there, because it looks like glasses kind of intersect with the hair. But I really like how I've drawn the glasses. But that's what I need to do, is I need to do that loop just there to kind of avoid it. I don't like how I've done the glasses now though. I should do. And then here we're going to come up here, do the first part of that loop, but then that's all we need. That is all we need just there. Maybe it should be a little longer. Like, it probably doesn't even need it at all, because it disappears, right? I made a big decision today. I know nobody watches these videos, but I made a huge decision today. And that decision was that I want to start making a slightly different type of art. Because I don't know if you know this, but I do these posts at the end of each year where I basically say what I'm going to do next year. It's my, kind of like a sort of crowdsourced New Year's resolution. So instead of saying, oh, this year I'm going to try and make more money and be a good capitalist citizen, or saying I'm going to try and fit the body type that society wants me to have by, you know, the usual New Year's resolutions. Instead of doing any of that crap, what I do is I open a poll on Twitter and I say, hey fans, because I have fans, you know. I do. I swear I have fans. Probably. I think we need to get that curve to there, because it's going to go flow straight down and end on that. Deal with this in a sensible way. We know that this has to go in front. That should probably go behind though. That's going to go in front. No, that doesn't look good in front. That should go behind. Kind of feel I've missed something on the head. Yes, this line here. Is that too round? That's better. That'll make sense when I come to colour it. Let's just come back down onto here for a second. So let's imagine for a second that we're doing this for real. We have that is the little finger. And we need the middle finger to come over the top. Middle finger comes over the top of that. So it's all going to overlap. That's the plan. So the one that we need to draw first, and I'm going to have the fingers do that slight curl back thing. So that line is just garbage now. And the thumb's coming out all the way out here, so it's let's make the fingers a bit shorter. These should be kind of following in line to there. Which means we need to take a bit of that line out to get that in. Just thinking about where this intersects, this should actually kind of curl back up like that. And this should come down from there. Got to make sure we get that ass in. In fact, I'm almost tempted to bring this part of the skirt down just to do that. So essentially, if that'd be the curve of the butt there. Let's erase the whole thing. We're going to redraw that entire part of the body. Now, there's something about these fingers that I want to get right. Because at the moment, I feel like you can't quite tell that these claws come from this half. So I feel like what I want to do, if I can get this right, is just open that part of the fingers up. So it's obvious that they're coming from that side. So then we can get this tail in there. What's the coloration on the tail like? It's all one colour. I feel like we need to actually draw eyes behind here because the wolf actually has big eyes in the picture. But I also feel like closed eyes would make it a sort of more euphoric kind of transformation. Like if I give it, let's just go for adding eyes to this. If I go for sort of super big eyes, it kind of destroys the glasses in the background. If I go for closed eyes, I can kind of draw that behind the glasses, colour the glasses, and it still comes across. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go for that. I feel like that needs a little, just to show that that is the front edge of the fingers. Maybe we need a little knuckle for each of these. Maybe not. But that said, this line does end in a very sloppy way. So let's just round those out. Because I shortened them. Let's get the other hand in there. So this time around, we're coming in from here. Oops. Coming in from here and from here. So that comes out into a... This is very much more of an internal image of the hand. So we need these fingers to kind of splay out a little more. That's the middle finger, so that should be the longest. If these fingers are going to be splayed, then that one needs to be there. Got a message. Just got to pause the recording while I go deal with the dog. Back again. Had an idea while I was downstairs. A really daft idea. But often the daftest ideas are the ones that work really well. The idea that I had was, what if the back of the dress was hiked up on the tail so that the dress would kind of come down like that and you would get the curve of the arse. It would kind of bunch up here. I don't think I can pull that off at the moment with my level of art quality. I think it should be longer, really. And they shouldn't touch there, that one should come more that way. That is that part of the arm, that is that part of the hand. We know that we need thumb essentially comes like this. Oh, I'm so bad at hands. You know, I mentioned that I was going to do like a whole week on doing body stuff. So a whole month on body stuff. Well, 1 week of that was going to be hands, and I didn't do any of it. So that's not going to be bent like that, that's going to be out like this, isn't it? If the hand is splayed. Then that's the shape of the thumb. The problem is that I can't even really use my own hands to reference hand drawings because I have weird hands. I know that sounds pretty dumb, but I do literally have odd hands. Like part of my heart condition, kind of a knock-on effect of it, is that I have what's called clubbed fingers, which gives them a kind of a weird shape. So these need to have the little tips of the claws, just in the places where you would be able to see them. And thinking about it, this is meant to be like this is a furry image, so there should be pads on some of the fingers, like that part of the thumb. There should be kind of a visible pad. Maybe on the paw here there should be a... Yeah, let's go with that. Let's get rid of that part. Let's just hide that for a minute. Right now, that looks weird. But if we give it the old... Does that look more weird? It kind of does. Like there should be that line, right? That's I'm not imagining it, that's a part of the hand. Maybe that finger should go behind there. Yeah, that works a bit better. I'm going to leave that. Get the pencils back on, finish the legs. Legs I feel fairly confident about. Bit of knee in there, yeah. So this is going to be pretty much a standard pour. Made the mistake there. Here's the thing about wolves. Claws don't retract. So unlike a cat, they're there all the time. Right. Part of me wonders if this is too much. If I should get rid of part of, or indeed all of that. Let's take it off up to there. Yeah, I think that's better actually. So, next up is colours. Is the arm too weird shaped? This one kind of doesn't reflect the same musculature. Bring that in more like that. Yeah. This hand now is the wrong angle though. Ooh, that's tricky because this needs to come up this way, otherwise the hand looks like a funny angle, but then the arm is way too long. Fixes. How do we fix this? That curve is the only fix for it. You know what, maybe if we just undo it and leave it as it was, we can get away with it. Except, I mean, we obviously can't, but this leg should also be visible behind there. It's not a lot, but it makes all the difference. Right. Colours. Once again, we're doing a grey wolf. This is a slightly lighter grey than we were before, though, so that's interesting. Main parts first, obviously. Body, tail, feet, and hands, arms, all that stuff. Just going to block in which bits are which colours. Oop, I undid that. I must have gone back too far before. It's just too... So all this basically is grey, right? This is almost certainly the least interesting part for anyone who actually puts in the time to watch these videos. In many ways, colouring in is kind of a victory lap if you've done well on an image. If you're really pleased with some part of it, like I'm really pleased with this mouth, you can treat it as a real victory lap as you go over these nice smooth curves you've drawn and go, oh yeah, that's nice. I like that. I feel like I got halfway through a thought earlier and I never finished it off. That thought was that the poll that I do for the New Year's Eve thing, when I open it up what I'm going to do the next year. Last year the options included experimental cookery and becoming a full-time sort of open furry. Online. It's all about my online profile. So as soon as that was voted in, I immediately found someone who I could source a persona image from, set it to my main social media thing, and made the plan then that I was going to be drawing furry art by the end of the year. And here I am. The other thing I said I was going to do was experimental cookery. That was the other thing that people voted for. Let's just quickly come over to here. I've noticed a little glitch. So people voted for me to do experimental cookery, which don't get me wrong, great idea, but food became kind of a scarce resource, not because of any shortages or anything during the pandemic, but simply because it was dangerous to go to the shops, and therefore it seemed a waste to go and buy food for an experiment that might not pan out. Like, it seemed like a waste of resources. And there were occasions where, you know, a few moments of empty shelvage. I did find myself thinking, you know, if I go and buy some ingredient to make some ridiculous experimental thing and then someone else can't have a dinner because of that, how shit am I going to feel? So we did a little bit of experimental cookery. We used some rhubarb from the garden to make a rhubarb crumble, which was delicious. But then we kind of left that on the back burner. You'll notice I've done a little bit of experimental cookery recently because I was following some stuff from Barry Lewis and Grackle. I don't think they invented it, but they said that they got it off TikTok, I think. What? But one of them was the egg wrap, the tortilla egg wrap, the breakfast burrito, which is very nice. That was a Barry Lewis thing. And on Grackle there was the tortilla pizza. I eat a lot of wraps because it feels healthier than bread. I don't know if it is or not, but go figure. So yeah, did a lot of tortilla pizzas. And I did an experimental couple. I did the Plowman pizza, which you probably saw the other day because I posted it in the middle of the art feed. And I've just today had a Christmas leftover pizza with the most Christmassy of cheeses, Stilton, on a cranberry sauce covered base and with leftover turkey on it. And you know what? It was absolutely delicious. But this year, to save me from tears, I put 2 ideas for... so I put 4 ideas up of what I would pivot to. Because I'm enjoying my art. I want to continue doing the art. But it's like there's lots of things you could draw. And I've done the Fursona thing. And I'm probably still going to draw furry things. So I didn't want to make it like... What type of things do you want me to draw more? Like, you know, it's almost certainly going to stay partly furry. Maybe work on human forms a little more as well. But... I was like, you know, what kind of art forms will I produce? And so I'm going to pivot to. This was how I phrased it. I said, am I going to pivot to doing comics, like maybe a web comic, something daily, you know, or not daily. God, that'd kill me. Maybe something a couple of times a week, which would probably lead to me having a more simplistic style, so it was more easily repeatable on a regular basis. Because the worst thing about having a webcomic is if you can't draw the characters the same every time, they just start to look like, you know, you don't know who's talking because you can't make the characters look the same. If you can't make them look the same, then how are you supposed to tell who's who? So you almost always have to sort of back down from the maximum art capability that you have, just in order to make the shapes repeatable on a fast basis, because otherwise you'd be spending an hour per character. Like these art things that I do, they take me about, from the basic form, like an hour. If I'm going to colour it and do everything, it could take anything up to 3 hours to do one character. And if I've got to do, like, the absolute minimum for a webcomic, I would say, is 2 characters interacting in 3 panels. Well, at that point, you're talking about spending the entire day drawing it. Which, like, if it was my job, sure, yeah, why not? I'll do that. But this isn't my job. This is my hobby. And I don't want it to become something that I have to spend that amount of time doing. The second option was smut, meaning, you know, sexy artworks. The third option was animation, which, if you think that doing a character every day is going to be difficult, wait till you have to draw 24 frames a second, or if you animate it on 2s, you have 12 frames a second. But I kind of like the idea of doing, you know, really basic forms and keyframes and tweening, and the ability to draw, like, just simple skeletal images of people walking, or if not a walk cycle, then, you know, figures moving. If you can animate figures moving, you've got, you know, it gives you a better ability to maintain shapes, space, distance, all that stuff. All the stuff that I do so badly in these images. So it would give me a great practice to try and get better at that. Option number 4 was give up on art and do a novel. You see, I've written loads of sort of first drafts of things, but I've never kind of taken them further. I've never cleaned them up, so they're at a point when I would be willing for other people to read them. Which is kind of the point when you write anything, isn't it? To let other people read it. Otherwise, it may as well just live in your head. I'm just going to clean that line up. It's not the Rona, don't worry. I just swallowed a bit of spit. Oh, that's not a good feeling. I just had the stupidest idea and it made me chuckle. But when I chuckled, I inhaled some spit. The idea that I had was maybe I should put fishnets on it. I still might. It's a good way of showing form. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so at the moment, and let's face it, not many people are going to vote on this, so it's almost certainly now a dead cert that in the new year, I'm going to be drawing erotic artwork. That's going to be like my main focus, which is great because some of the things, and this is kind of a little peek behind the curtain. Quite often when I post these things, I have ideas that would fit into multiple brackets, so I know that regardless of what people pick, I can do them. Obviously the novel thing, the pivot to words, that wouldn't fit with anything else I was doing. But I had an idea for a funny comic, which was also slightly lewd. So that might be a thing that happens. I also had various ideas for things I might want to animate. However, because obviously if I'm going to animate, I may animate smut. Who knows? Maybe when I'm doing smut, I may decide to animate and get some nice jiggle physics in there, you know. But at the moment, smut is winning, and that's good because I had a thought the other day when one of the people who I did an image for, it was the one where I didn't name them because they didn't want to be named, but the image was of a sort of, I don't want to say brain dead because it's like a medical condition. It wasn't that, like a no thoughts hypnotized rabbit doll person. The very first one that I did. And you may notice that I actually put a little bit more care and attention into that one than I have with a few others. And the reason for that is because I actually really enjoyed doing it. And I think that it's actually because I kind of enjoy indulging people's weird fantasies and weird interests. I've got some weird interests of my own, but it's like it's nice to know that I'm not the only one. So anyway, the thought that I had is that if I do start doing smut, it will probably start with very simple getting to know the form kind of stuff, you know. Week 1 is Stacy draws boob, that kind of thing. But after that, I thought it might be fun to put out a call for people with weird sexual proclivities and say, hey, you ever wanted someone to draw like weird sex stuff? Give me a challenge. I'll draw it. I had the idea when I was looking at a Twitter thread, and someone in it had a. It was just a retweeted thing from an account which is entirely about someone who wants to fuck. I keep doing this with this brush. Wants to fuck Quark from Deep Space Nine, and there was a lot of Quark and Odo slash art. I believe that's slash. They call it Quodo when those two are shipped, which makes sense when you think about it. I really should stop doing this in like one big line. And I thought to myself, you know, I could draw that. I could have a crack at that. You know, with like Star Trek characters and stuff. You got references, you know. You can just use the you use shots from the show. And it got me thinking that maybe that's my raison d'etre. As someone who isn't weirded out by very much at all, I could become someone that people go to for weird pervy stuff. So we take the background off and start with the white. Actually, not quite white, more kind of a lighter shade of grey. Yeah. Which is why this image that I'm drawing right now, you may notice that it's substantially hornier than previous ones. I'm getting my eye in, so to speak. Because they basically told me that they had no kind of definitive requirements for this image. They just like seeing people attempt the challenge of drawing this, but a femboy. So, you know, challenge accepted. thinking about it. That's the ear there. So these glasses are going to essentially be a kind of 50% red over the grey. And that's how you can do that. That underline there needs to be cleaned up a little, I think. Just come in here and clean that up. Yep. Let's go for the full white for the teeth. Actually, no, let's stick with that slight grey. And for the actual inside of the mouth, we want this kind of... Is that the right shade? You need inside of dog mouth. Yeah. Is there any colouring around the muzzle? Nope. Thinking about it, this would actually be on the underside because they're transparent, right? Yeah. Let's do the claws. What colour are wolf claws? I've been drawing them lighter, but maybe they're darker. I quite like that. My dog has dark claws. The claws have got this kind of like some of them are sort of translucent white, and some of them are just dark. And the problem with that is that the translucent white ones, you can see where the quick of the nail is. That's the kind of the bit that's still got a bit of flesh in it. So you can't cut the quick because then that bleeds and it's painful for the dog. But the problem is on the dark ones, you can't tell where that is. And so, because you can't tell where it is, how you're supposed to colour of dress. I'm feeling pale blue. Kind of a yeah. Am I still feeling pale blue? I don't know. I kind of wonder if maybe a darker blue would actually be better. Maybe with sparkles. I might chroma it out later and try some different shades. I haven't drawn in the cigarette yet. I must remember that. That was a key part of the design doc. Like, they only bothered to put two things on the face. One of them was the glasses. One of them was the cigarette. Did that thing again when I did a stroke that was too long. The undo feature works per stroke. So if you fill the whole thing with one stroke, you hit undo because of one tiny mistake, entire thing gone. The only part of this that's going to be any darker is the inside of the dress. There are a couple of tiny alterations I want to make to this. I want to add furrier elbows, and that seems really bizarre as a design choice, but that works better. I feel like the arms need a bit more fur on them. Like if I could just, oops. If there was just a little, just like that. Let's do it on the right layer. You see that makes all the difference there. That needs to go more into the... We're almost there. I feel like the only thing we need is a background, and I've already thought of exactly how I'm going to do this. I swear you used to be able to do this in colour. Oh, it's plasma, that was the one. That's the one I was thinking of. So you render a plasma on the background. Just realised I got that locked, that's why nothing's been happening. You know, I feel like I did something wrong when I did the plasma. Maybe I should have decreased the turbulence, and it would have given me the same effect as what I'm doing right now. Right, let's quickly get back onto this layer and draw the cigarette before we forget how. This has just shown up a huge number of gaps in this image. Actually, let's get back to the colour first. What I like about this is when you put a bright background or something, it immediately shows up 1,000,001 areas where you didn't colour all the way to the edges. I should do it with a dark background from the start, really. So a bright background from the start. Maybe that would save me some time going over these bits later. I also think the less attention I can draw to this paw, the better. Right. Back to this cigarette. I think that is the right angle for it. Actually, I think that's entirely wrong. If it was in the mouth here, it will have fallen out here, and it will be now here. Probably burnt down a little. fortunately, depending on how you view this, my mum smoked, so I know exactly what a cigarette looks like. There's one thing I want to change about that, but it's not a matter of changing the cigarette itself. So you'll see when I get to it. And then this outer edge has a kind of tan orange. With slightly paler flecks. Yeah. There you go. We should, actually thinking about it, just come on here and go back to our regular pen. Let's go saturation 0. Yeah. Turn the background off for a second. I see, it works better with the background on. Just realised the mistake I'm making here. I've widened that out too much. This should come sort of similarly to that, but it's supposed to come up along the same line. And then from here, although it waves and snakes a bit, it never actually gets wider. It's more like it. Actually, cigarette smoke is quite light. And it has the occasional actually, no, I don't like that. Let's go back to what we were doing. I don't know if you detected this, but I'm using the undo and redo buttons as a way of holding down the control key, which means that sometimes I do this little undo redo shuffle as I'm picking a colour, because I realise that I've just undone something that I want to redo. Or just redone something that I wanted to undo. So it's kind of now the idea that I had, I might not go with now, but let's try it anyway. So I switch to erase, set the opacity to 50%. I'm going to go way up on the brush size here. There we go, and now with a 50% undo. You know, I think it looked better when it was just solid. There we go. Cut, print, finish. It's done. With the background needs a bit more blur. There's no way to just do this, is there? I've got to... If I hold it down, it goes all the way to the top. So I have to do individual taps. That's what I wanted to do. And then one more filter, which was render some solid noise stretched in the Y. Wrong. Made a mistake. That'll do. And we are done. Obviously no shading on this one because there's no lighting. The character is lit from all sides, being as they are in a magical girl transformation. I feel like the head's maybe a little too large for the body, but that's fine. I don't care. Everything's good. I'm going to stop the recording now.